So this video is about the 3 things that you should remember to do in the 2AC to make sure you're addressing every part of the debate and you're giving a really good, solid 2AC. So really there are only 3 things, I would say, that you need to really keep in mind when you're giving the speech. The first is you want to explain your case. And what that means is, in the 1AC, you gave all of these arguments for why your plan was a good idea, why it was really important to do the plan now, and why the plan would be successful. In all of your speeches, not just the 2AC, you should make sure for at least a couple sentences you explain again why that's true, and you keep that in the debate. So one thing you don't want to do is get totally dragged into what the other team said and have a really narrow focus and not tell the judge why they should vote affirmative or why your plan is a good idea. So if you write out maybe a 3 or 4 sentence explanation of why you should do the plan, that might be a good way to sort of start off your 2AC, to start off your speech with just a reminder about why your plan is a good idea. So with the offshore wind affirmative, this might look something like, right now global warming is a really serious problem. It's going to cause millions of climate refugees. It's going to cause all sorts of natural disasters. Offshore wind is the best way to solve this because we have a ton of offshore wind resources off the Atlantic. Those resources don't produce any carbon dioxide, which means they would be able to totally solve global warming. So that kind of couple sentence explanation gives you a sense of why the plan is a good idea. The second priority is to answer the arguments that the 1NC made about your case. So if the 1NC is good, they'll have a variety of arguments about why what you said in the 1AC wasn't true, or wasn't as true at least as you said it was. So if in the 1AC you said that offshore wind would stop global warming, the 1NC might say, okay, well that might be true in America, but what about Chinese carbon dioxide emissions? What would offshore wind do about those? So in the 2AC, you'd have to think of a way to answer that argument and make sure you address it. Obviously, answering arguments requires that you know exactly what the other team said. So this is where flowing or note-taking becomes really important, making sure that you know what the 1NC said so you can answer it in the 2AC. The third priority in the 2AC is to answer any disadvantages they've put forward. And this is where taking a look at the video that we put out earlier about writing blocks is really important. So there's only, even if you're in varsity, there's only 3 total disadvantages in the packet. There's the economy disadvantage, there's the NASA disadvantage, and there's the environment disadvantage. So if in advance you're able to sort of look at those disadvantages, think about them, think about whether they apply to your affirmative, whether the arguments they make are actually quality arguments, whether there are weaknesses in them you can exploit to your advantage. Asking those questions to yourself and then writing down the answer, so writing down what you think are weaknesses in the disadvantage, is a pretty good way to be prepared even before the debate to answer the disadvantage. So if in your mind or on a piece of paper you have 4 or 5 reasons why the disadvantage isn't true, then you'll be really prepared to give this part of your 2AC. So if you sort of take all these 3 parts of the 2AC together, these will be pretty similar from debate to debate. So the 2AC is a good speech to really practice and get down as well as you can and try to perfect it over time. So maybe at your first tournament, you explain your case pretty well, you do an okay job answering their arguments about the case, but you don't do a great job answering the disadvantage. That's a good opportunity to go back and for the next tournament, make sure that this time you can answer the disadvantage really well. So these are the basic outlines of the 2AC. If you're looking for more information, I would suggest looking at the video about writing blocks, which will sort of explain more in depth how do you prepare to do a 2AC in any debate that you might have.